Welcome to Soda City Living, the podcast that celebrates life, culture, and community in Columbia and across South Carolina. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard, and each week we'll share the people, places, and stories that make the Palmetto State such a special place to call home. So being this is the first time I've actually had to say welcome to Soda City Living, I'm so excited to have Nancy Smith, the general manager of the South Carolina State Fair, as my very first guest. So welcome to the podcast, Nancy. It is just incredible to have you here.
Well, great. Thank you. And I'm honored, I think, to be number one. Because we have something very exciting to talk about today.
Yes, we do. And I just want to put it out there that I've lived in South Carolina since 1999, and I've probably been to the fair out of the 26 years I've lived here, probably 23 times.
All right.
So
okay.
I love the fair. I love it.
That's right. And you'll make it 27 or whatever, because, in a few days, you'll be making it 27. So.
Yes, I will be there, and I will be so excited. Before we dive into the details of the fair, I would love to know, what is your favorite memory of the fair that you have either working at the fair or maybe going to it before you work for the fair?
Well, that's a great question. So as y'all can see, because I think maybe there may be a little video along with this, my hair is kind of a lighter color gray. So this is my 41st year with the South Carolina State Fair. So I have lots of memories, but I think before I was even employed with the fair, one of my most precious memories is the fact that what we still tout the fair as being a family-oriented tradition. And so for my dad, he really, really liked to work. He didn't take a whole lot of days of vacation. So the fair was one time that we knew that my sisters and I, along with my mom and dad, all six of us, we knew we would come to the fair. That was one thing we knew we would do every year. Now, it looked a lot different then because this was quite a few years ago. But we all came to the fair in our station wagon, and I can remember we parked at a particular place, and we went into, at that time, everything's changed now, but we went in and got some ice cream from Trudy's there, and then we got a Bailey's Pronto Pup at that time. I can still remember that. And then the other side of that, we had a great time as a family, but the other side of that is I had an elderly neighbor. Her name was Miss Florence, and she was not able to come to the fair, but the last years of her life, she knew we were coming, and we were really close, and she said, "You need to bring me back a red candy apple." So I remember to this day bringing Miss Florence her red candy apple. Now that I'm employed by the fair and manager of the fair, who would have ever dreamed that? I think back on how precious those memories are in those times. So I can still see the smile on Miss Florence's face when she would receive her red candy apple. So to me, that really is what the fair is all about.
Yeah, I love that it's about family and about tradition and about the great culture that we have here in South Carolina. Yes. Okay, so I'm really curious. You've been with the fair for 41 years. How does somebody get a job at the fair?
Oh, that's a good question, too. I really got a job. When I first started working at the fair, I took vacation from a real job to work at the South Carolina State Fair. And we can get into all of the details, but maybe this is a good time to start right there. I actually started my whole journey at the fair in the home and craft department. That's where all the baked goods are and the canning and sewing. And I had a lady that went to church with me, and she was the superintendent at that time of the home and craft department. And she asked me if I would like to take vacation and work at the fair. And I did that for years. Unfortunately, as years went by, she became ill. And then I got to be the superintendent of the home and craft department, which was just a part-time position. And then later on, the general manager at that time offered me a full-time job at the fair. So I started, I guess, on the other side of the coin on that. But the fair, I think it's really important for the audience to know that the South Carolina State Fair is not a state-supported agency. Even though we're the South Carolina State Fair, we're not state-supported. We're a 501c3. And one thing that's really exciting that we do, our roots are in agriculture, and we're always striving to get that very important and critical aspect of our fairs, history and culture, keep that alive and keep the message going from year to year. But we're also very involved in education. And we have had for the last 27 years a Right of Your Life scholarship program where this year we awarded $530,000 in scholarships to graduating seniors that attend an in-state school or university. And those scholarships are awarded throughout the entire state, some from each congressional district. So that's really a thing that we're very proud of, is being your South Carolina State Fair. We've been doing that for a long time. And over the last decade or so, we've given back almost $6 million to our state through that aspect. So that's a really neat thing about us. Another thing that's really kind of strange about it is about how you get a job here. We have like 19 full-time people that work in the South Carolina State Fair all during the year. And that is to help with the fair and our facility rentals. And another revenue pot for us is football parking. But during fair time, that 19 swells to about 500 people. So it's really we're really different in that aspect because we go from 19 to 500 just during that period of time. But I think another thing that really kind of makes us unique is that actual aspect, because everybody says, where do you get all those people to come and work at the fair? And just like me, back when I did it many years ago, it's really kind of in your blood. I've always thought you really, really like this thing called working at the fair, or maybe it's just not quite for you. But it's been that way for many people, and many of those folks return. So we do still work, year to year, getting some new folks working. And some of those numbers include, of course, our Richland County Sheriff's Department, the firemen, and the South Carolina Highway Patrol. So we're kind of a unique little animal over here on this side of the South Carolina.
Yeah. I remember last year, my sister-in-law she's an artist, and she put some art to be on, to being at the competition. And I went with her to drop off the art, and everybody working so nice and so excited and just couldn't wait. And they were so appreciative and complimentary of all of the artists, from like the very, very amateurs to the professionals. And I thought this is something that you could tell that people who do this, and I even asked somebody, I said, "This is your first year?" She said, "Well, no, it's my fifth, but over here, this is her first year. She's my friend." And it was just, it just seemed like such a wonderful, thing to be a part of. And I can see how people would take, vacation time to work at the fair. What year did the fair start?
The fair was founded in 1869. A group of farmers got together and petitioned the legislature to hold an annual agricultural exposition. And so it came to pass, and the first fair was held in 1869. And that was not at this location, at a location off of Elmwood Avenue. I think it was Elmwood Drive at that time. But we moved to our current location because we soon outgrew that one. We moved to our current location in 1904. We're here right at 1200 Rosewood Drive, right across from the University of South Carolina football stadium. So since 1904, I've been around a while, but not quite that long. Even the time since I've been here, this whole area, we used to be out of town a little bit, out of the city, but we have all the student housing, and it's really grown up around here. So we're right in the midst of everything now.
Yeah. When I first moved here, I couldn't believe the state fairgrounds was like downtown. I thought that was so wild. I was like, what? How did that work? And then, of course, I experienced my first fair. I'm curious, I know we'll get into the details of the fair and everything that's coming up for this year, the new things. But what's it like a day in the office for you? I'm so curious. What is your day to day? I guess it's different all the time, but what's a typical day for you?
Or do you mean day during the fair, or
maybe leading up to the fair and then during?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, the fair is the largest event in the state. I did not say that, but we are. Last year we had 4,864 people, just in case anyone's counting, but we are the largest event in the state. So we really have already started planning for next year's fair, and we already have a lot done, even from the theme to other things, because you just have to get that done. But it really is. We used to think we had some downtime, but I don't know if it's because we've gotten so much smarter with everything we do that we have so much more to do. Like today in the office, it's just, we're starting to take in the different thing. We're taking in student art and fine art ahead of time, and then we'll be doing that. It's really to put it in a bigger perspective. As the managers is kind of overseeing every aspect of the fair. We have 19 different departments, during the fair, from guest services to home and crafted flowers to livestock and everything like that. So just kind of putting all that together. And then, as you know, with anything you put on events and things like that, there are little fires to put out. And we're doing a little bit of that as well. So I guess just everything that it takes to put the fair on.
Right. And then when the fair is going on, what does it look like for you then?
Ooh, actually all of the organization, I usually think in my brain, okay, if all of this is not really set by July, I kind of start panicking a little bit, because organization is the key to putting together the largest event in the state.
Everyone in Columbia has a favorite spot to call home. The real question is, where's yours? If you're buying or selling in the Midlands, Andrea Reynolds with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Midlands Real Estate is the one to call. She's not just an agent, she's a trusted neighbor who knows this community inside and out. Andrea's clients love how she makes the process smooth and stress-free. One client shared, Andrea has such incredible relationships built over her many years in real estate, and she matched us with the perfect buyers within days, and the whole process felt seamless. Are you ready to find your perfect place in the Midlands? If so, visit andreareynolds.bhhsmidlands.com or just go ahead and click the link in the show notes. And be sure to tell her you heard about her right here on the Soda City Living Podcast.
And we have the best staff of all fairs in the world. And we have a great maintenance staff that takes care of setting up all of those buildings. One thing that's really interesting to know is when I first started working in the home and craft department, you walk into, say, a 20,000 square foot building. It's empty except for just tables. You take in thousands of items, and then by the end of that week, that building is all set, whether it's art or flowers or in home and craft, it's quilts and everything. And it's just turned around in, amazingly short period of time. But in order for that to happen, we have a great staff to do that. And then we have the people that really know what they're doing. But during fair time, all that to say that the big part of the organization is already done. But during fair time, it's just here, I think, again, making sure that everything is set and working right. We have meetings every day during the fair that we meet with particular people. So for me and for all the other staff, it's just really getting out in your own areas and looking around and taking care of the business that needs to be taken care of. And of course, we're a lot of what we do is outside. So we're very cognizant of all of that, and fortunately and unfortunately, we have to pay more attention now than ever to safety and security and all of those kinds of things. So that's a real big part of everything that we do here.
Yeah, I can imagine that's a huge part of what you're doing is making sure that everybody's safe and they're not stressed, they're not anxious, they're not worried. Okay, I just imagine you walking around with walkie-talkies.
Well, that's a thought too, because I know I looked at I had the article in the state paper. It was years ago when I first started. So I had a cell phone, and then I had another cell phone, and I had a little radio too. We do have radios. I will have to say, since we're in on the cell phone so much now, because it's just instant, and we have, text message alerts and stuff like that. So we do all of that. But I do have a radio, and during fair time, there's one that stays on my office a desk all the time. It's a very interesting scenario. And as I've said, it is different from other professions. And I've never been in anything like this where the fair is really, I say the fair is the tail that wags our dog, because the fair is the big revenue generator. We also do the football parking because we're located across from USC, and we have a small bucket of revenue that comes from our facility rentals, but the fair is it. So when you think about putting on an event, that really is your bread and butter, and it's 12 days out of the year. That's why it's so critical to be prepared and have a great staff. And the full-time staff that works here, and then the superintendents that come. We have superintendents that are over every particular department here, so that they do a great job. But it really is it's a stressful time, but I think it's so rewarding because you get to see the people when they come in, and you've been a part of helping them enjoy the 12 best days of the year in South Carolina.
What are some of the new and exciting, great new things that are coming out this year?
Well, everyone knows this is our 156th fair. And everyone knows, if they're familiar with the fair in South Carolina, that they know it's in October. They know it's probably kind of, not quite the 1st of October, but right around in there. But they just want to know, well, what's the new things coming out this year? So the theme of the fair this year is something that I'm excited about. Fair's roots are in agriculture, and along with education, agriculture is a big part of what we do, as I said earlier. But our theme this year is harvesting happiness, and we decided that would be a really great theme to have because we get to tell about the agricultural roots. And so this year we had some fun stuff done. We had seed packets, and if you go online at scstatefair.org, you can see about the seed packets there. We were giving away different packets of seeds for sunflowers or cut flowers or some of the herbs and stuff like that. So you can plant your own flowers and just see your own plants growing, and the happiness that you get from seeing that. From the agricultural side, there's a lot of happiness that comes from you planting your seed. We also think it's really a part of what the fair is all about, because when you were talking about what's my favorite memory, when we talk to people about the fair, they say it's tradition and family. And fun and education and entertainment. Really, our Harvest in Happiness theme is not just from the agricultural roots, but we want you to be able to come and tell us how you harvest happiness at the South Carolina State Fair and all of the great aspects of the fair that's put together. What are your memories that you with your friends, or maybe you did enter some things into the fair. So that's one part of it that, that's really neat.
Great. Can people get the seeds when they go to the fair, or is that something that you were doing prior?
They're probably going to be gone by the time
okay.
the fair gets here, but check our website at scstatefair.org, and the fair office is 1200 Rosewood Drive. So we do have some seed packets left, and you can even plant your own seeds and take some shots of that, some pictures of that, and we have some contests going on social media that you can maybe win the coloring page of Harvesting Your Happiness, and you can bring that back to the fair and get a free cookie, a warm chocolate chip cookie with your colored poster.
Cool. So for somebody who might be coming to the fair for their first time, somebody's visiting South Carolina because they're curious about learning more about the state, or they're considering moving to Columbia, what is something they should not miss at the fair this year?
Oh, so that's a great question too, as well. There's a lot of stuff going on at the fair. And I think when I think about the South Carolina State Fair, I think if you come to the fair, if we're doing our job right, we're trying to give you a little glimpse of everything that South Carolina has to offer. Exhibits. We have exhibitors from every county in the state. Of course, I'm a little prejudiced because that's where I got my start in the home and craft department. We have a really great home and craft department with all of the baked goods and canning, sewing, woodworking. It shows the talents of folks in South Carolina. Our competitive exhibits are great. And then from the livestock side, I love the dairy cattle and the beef cattle. We have a lot of great agricultural exhibits. And then from food-wise, we can talk about that later, but we have Fisk fries, F-I-S-K, Fisk fries. I like mine with a little bit of spray of vinegar and some salt. And then a Daly's Pronto Pup is really good. I like to take a ride on the Sky Glider at night from one side of the fairgrounds to the other. But particularly for this year's fair, we're going to have a really great educational exhibit in the roof building. We've been working with the SC250 Commission because our country will be celebrating a big birthday next year. And we're at the fair very excited because we kind of got a jump on this. It's really going to be a real interactive and educational exhibit. You'll have an opportunity to go in and maybe sign the Declaration of Independence, and it has a timeline in there of the Revolutionary War. They're going to have some reenactments. They will have some historians there. You might meet the Swamp Fox, or you might meet some of the others that were popular, that were the historians back then that really made a difference. But that's really one that we're really looking forward to folks coming. I think our folks really like to come to the fair, just showing that it really is very interactive. I think all ages will enjoy that. But the good thing about that is that while you're really being entertained in a way with that, you're really learning. And we're hoping to maybe bring a portion of the exhibit back next year. So that's one that's really going to be really good this year we're showcasing, and that's the SC250 Commission, and they'll have a great educational exhibit about the Revolutionary War. We're also having something different this year in the balcony of the Canty building. We're having an Anne Frank exhibit. We really tout ourselves at the fair on having something for everyone, and a very meaningful exhibit there. And it's actually a traveling exhibit that we worked with the University of South Carolina to have. The folks are coming and they're going to be manning that exhibit, and they'll be offering tours at particular times to go through there. There'll be an opportunity to make butterflies because that was one of the things that Anne Frank did. So those are two of the exciting things we're going to be having. We'll also have Sandra Lee with us the first few days of the fair, October the 8th and the 9th. She's a celebrity chef. She has a Blue Ribbon Bake-Off Championship going on, and she's going to be doing some fun stuff with us. And she's going to be helping judge our boiled peanut eating contest on opening day of the fair. But Sandra's also a breast cancer survivor. And she's going to, we're going to showcase her in that aspect a little bit, and more of that important subject. So we'll have all of that. And then we'll have some fun, roving entertainers on the Academic Avenue stage. We have can you all find this at the fair, is Mad Chad, and he's a chainsaw juggler. And he's named appropriately, I would say. He'll be on the Academic Avenue stage, but we'll have some of those and some neat. The Mariachi Divas will be roving the grounds with some great music, and the one-man band. I don't know, you name it, we're gonna have it at your South Carolina State Fair.
Well, this is incredible. I can't wait to go back and experience the fair this year. And my kids are older now, and they just told me that they don't want to go with me this year. So, but can you go over the rules about ages and how old you have to be at what time you have to be accompanied by an adult and all that?
Just visit the website at statefair.org for that. You do need to know that. And I just wanted to say that your South Carolina State Fair is very cognizant of making this a safe place and an enjoyable place for everyone to come. And we know that we've had to do more and more to make that happen throughout the years. And we've really kind of been a leader in that aspect, and other fairs have followed what we've done. But we do have our open gate metal detector system still in place this year. We have a clear bag policy in effect, and those rules and the sizes and everything are right on the website. It really mirrors almost to the dime about what the University of South Carolina allows in their stadium for clear bags, if that would help you any. For the youth admission policy, which is really critical for us, we did make some changes to that last year, and Sunday through Thursday, no youth under the age of 18 are admitted after 5 p.m. without their parent. But for Friday and Saturday, that is in effect all day long. It doesn't start at 5, it starts all day long. We know that we did have some questions with that last year, but I think something that I can share now after the fact that that's over is we had the best fair we've ever had last year, and that was in the face of making some changes that are not always that easy to make, because we know that our fair is tradition, it's family, it's fun, it's entertaining, it's exciting, but we just have to do everything that we can to make sure that we keep it that way to protect the integrity of your South Carolina State Fair. So last year's fair was our best fair ever and our safest fair we've ever had. So we want to move forward in that vein and continue to bring a good, safe fair to you. So those rules are explained in detail, that and other things that are allowed through the gates. We have exceptions for medical bags and cameras and things like that. You can do that, but you need to check that online at scstatefair.org. That's a great question. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. I'll put all of this in the show notes. So you just click on the link in the show notes if you want to get more information. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience today?
Oh, I feel like I've maybe talked too much. Just to know that we talked about it a little bit with the scholarship program, but I think sometimes people don't really realize. I think that's our biggest misconception, is that we're the state fair, but we're not state supported. We're a 501c3, and we have about a $45.5 million economic impact with your South Carolina State Fair. And in our great competitive exhibits and all of that, we give over $300,000 in prizes and awards to that. We have some new food at the fair. I know people would want to know what that is. We have some Brody's mac and cheese, a big giant tenderloin sandwich. We have like 15 new foods, a couple of new rides, and just, with the circus is coming back. That's another thing that we did that we really think has enhanced the family-oriented atmosphere of the fair. So all that's free. So when you come into the fair, other than rides and food, and if you go shopping in the commercial exhibit area, otherwise everything that you want to see and do is free on the ground. So the concerts are free. We don't have ticketed concerts anymore. We have our concerts on we moved the circuses now in where the big Pepsi Place grandstand was at one time. And we have 3 circus shows a day, and those are free. We moved the grandstand to we call it the Pepsi Place stage. And it's a smaller stage. It's more intimate, but we'll have things like a Beach Boys tribute. And we're going to have a little bit of country, a little bit of gospel, Latin music. We'll have some bluegrass, different show on the grandstand every night at the Pepsi Place stage. I should say grandstand, Place stage. But yes, other than your food and your rides and the shopping that you would buy when you come into the fair, the pig races are back. People love the pig races. We've got the lumberjack show at the South Gate. Don't forget to meet your party at the Rocket when you come to the fair. That's a big part of what we do here. So we just say thank you for people, really liking and loving their South Carolina State Fair. I hope that everyone will be able to come out and harvest lots of happiness when they do.
Well, Nancy, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being on the show and being my very first guest.
Well, thanks so much for listening to Soda City Living. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation and feel even more connected to the people, places, and stories that make Columbia and South Carolina so special. Be sure to follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. And if you loved what you heard, share it with a friend or leave a review. It really helps others discover the show. Until next time, I'm your host, Lisa Mustard, and this has been Soda City Living.